I am here. We're here. You're here. We've got our first attendee in. I know it's October. Things start, kind of slowing down towards the end of the year. But you know what? Here's my promise, especially because you're here. We want to make it personal. We want to answer your questions and we want to do it in such a manner that you're getting a lot more value out of this. So at any point you feel like, hey, Mohsin, slow down, or hey, Max, slow down. We're very happy to take a step back, pause, rewind, go through the motions again, as long as, you get the point and you understand everything that we have to share with you today. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I mean, it benefits me if there's less people. I can ask all my
Right?
questions.
And that's key. At the
Fantastic.
end of the day, we want to answer as many questions as we can.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah, that sounds
Perfect. Perfect. This all started because we've seen a trend in the market where homes are now sitting 40, 50, 60, 70 days on market. We're going to go through a couple of homes that we've listed and the neighbors who tried selling. And at times, one of these homes was on market for a good almost 250 days before they finally sold. Right. So, what is it that's happening? Why are we able to make our clients happy by helping them move? And what's stopping other people, everyday people, from making the same decisions or unfortunately making mistakes that keeps them on the market for longer, and at the end of the day having to do price reduction after price reduction, and even then they might not be able to sell. So with that being said, who are we? Hi, my name is Mohsin Lakhani. I'm a real estate agent with the Vaughan Real Estate Advisors. I service clients across the GTA, primarily whether they're upsizing or downsizing. I'm able to play a key role in that decision-making process, as well as leveraging the connections that we have. If you have a bigger home that you want to move into because your family is growing, we're able to look at it from a lens of, do you have to sell your current residence in order to move into a bigger property? What does it look like if we turn it into a rental income? And if we have to sell, what's the strategy to go about it? On the flip side, maybe you already have a bigger home and you need to start downsizing. What does that strategy look like? How can we help you go from, let's say, a 5-bedroom detached property to something a little bit more modest? Maybe that's a condo townhouse. Maybe that's a condo. Maybe that's a townhome on its own, right? So what does that look like? That's where I come in, play a role. I also host a podcast. It's called the Ontario Homeowner Show. The basic premise of that show is, how can we help you live better right where you are? So you get all of these people talking about buy real estate, sell real estate. I want to give you a twist that if you're happy where you are, you can stay exactly where you want to. Maybe there's a little bit lacking. Maybe you need a bit of an upgrade, or maybe you've got aging parents, or maybe you're aging yourself and you're thinking about, what does that look like? Do I need to go to a retirement home? Not necessarily. We have the partnerships in place that can help you, let's say, age in place. If you have income coming in and you're worried about what does that retirement look like, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, am I still going to be paying this mortgage that's millions of dollars over the life of that loan? No, we actually work very closely with Phillips, and he can walk you through what does it look like to pay off your home in, let's say, 11 years, 12 years, 15 years, right? So this is what we bring. This is how we want to create an impact. It's not just about buying. It's not just about selling. It's not just about renting or investing. It's about, how can we help you live better right where you are? And if you're not able to, for whatever reason, let us help you to get to where you want to be. With that being said, Mac, over to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How are you coming in? What do you do to help us out? How do you help your clients?
Yeah, 100%. That's going to be a tough act to follow. Thank you for the introduction, Mohsin. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mac Phillips. I'm a mortgage agent with Dominion Lending Centers. It's actually Canada's largest national mortgage brokerage. Why should you care about that? Honestly, it's all about the client and the additional benefit and value that offers to you. Better lender relationships. We provide more volume to those lenders so we get better interest rates. And we can actually assist clients coast to coast, as you can see from the details there, and as well outside of the country. A lot of folks are moving their money down into Mexico, for example. much lower, initial startup cost, high rent, and the ability to actually invest with 100,000 versus 500,000. We actually do lending on all different tiers. So it depends on what the client's needs are. We have the big banks, the A banks, the ones that we're aware of. We have alternative lenders or B lenders, depending on if you have maybe credit challenges or even unique income, or private lending, which obviously have their use case as well around maybe developers and flippers and property improvement specialists. I have the fortunate ability to help around 100 families a year, and I just want to do my best to absolutely support anyone on the call who has questions. So feel free, engage, stop us. Let's have fun.
Amazing. Mac, thank you so much for joining us. Here's what I'm hoping everybody takes away from today. What is the mortgage strategy that you, if you're thinking about selling, what does that look like for you? If you're not thinking about selling, what does that look like for you? If you do end up deciding, hey, I need to sell, and if you don't want to sell with us for whatever reason, maybe you're in a part of the world that we're not able to service, that's okay. These are the mistakes that's going to help you figure out what your strategy should be. We've had the honor, we've had the privilege of actually helping other real estate agents deploy this in their business. We've had the ability to list other real estate agents' homes because they were unable to sell it themselves. So we bring some knowledge in terms of experience, in terms of expertise, but we also are able to showcase that by our success stories. So what does that mean? Well, we're going to the showings and the presentations. What do you need to be doing to make sure that your home stands out? What is the marketing pricing strategy that you need to deploy in order to have maximum impact? What are the negotiation strategies that you need to have to make sure that your bottom line is being met? And we're going to do all of that and then follow that through with 2 case studies. These are neighbors on the same street. So 2 different neighborhoods, 2 different markets, 2 different price points. And we'll go into the details of what happened, what worked, what was the end result. You're going to be followed up with the 103 mistakes that home sellers make and how you can avoid them. That will be sent to you via email at the end of this presentation. But before we do that, there's one thing that's very important to understand. What is the cost of falling into these mistakes? What is the cost of falling into these traps? Well, A, you potentially can lose tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, by making these mistakes. And B, if you're not already aware of it, the market has become super competitive. Think about it. You're going against people who are A, listing their property, B, doing price drops, C, same neighbors competing for the same pool of buyers. What is it that needs to happen to make sure that you are not losing or leaving money on the table? Why? Because what's the ultimate goal for us and for you? We want to help you sell faster for more money and with far fewer headaches than I know you're having right now, than I know that a lot of people are having right now. And I think with the strategies that we are going to showcase today, my hope, my goal is for you to walk away a little bit more empowered, a little bit more knowledgeable, with a little bit more of a game plan. And if we need to dive in deeper, get in touch with us because your specific situation, your specific circumstance may vary. And we would love nothing more than to help you get from where you are to where you want to be. Mac, take it away, boss.
Okay, awesome. So I think it's just really helpful to understand your options and some of the things that may be important to you around determining what direction that you go in. So understanding bank versus broker, I think can be really pivotal to set some foundation as to, why work with us? Why work with me? So the first thing is that I think is really helpful to understand is that you don't want to invest your time, your energy walking around to each bank individually only to find out that you've just begun to scrape the surface as to what options are available. The reason why you want to use a mortgage broker is because we have options. There are 5 or 6 prime big banks that we all know of that are curbside lenders. However, what's important to know is that outside of the big banks that you're familiar with or have a relationship with, there are tons of other lenders that are not big banks in Canada, but are amazing mortgage lenders that are considered A banks as well. They have better rates in many scenarios, and they also have a much better client journey and experience. Maybe pose this question to Kamala. How many times has your bank called you in the last 4 years to offer you a lower rate or a solution or a strategy to try to save money? I can probably say for certain that if it's happened the one time, I would be shocked. And that's where the relationship with your mortgage broker is going to be very different. Right now, what we're doing is actually cash flow boot camps for folks that are not renewing for a year's time. And we're actually able to lower their interest rate mid-term, even on a fixed mortgage. That's the value you get with a mortgage broker that you often find void working with the bank directly. The next is, how do we ensure that you look as good on paper as a borrower? The second that you want to look at options, so rightly so, but looking at options on your own actually hurts your chances in getting the best interest rate. Why? Well, your credit score and the interest rate that you're given are directly tied at the hip. So if you have your credit pulled at TD, at Scotiabank, at BMO, oh my goodness, now we're maybe 100 points lower than we were 6 weeks ago. That means that when you finally choose a lender of your choice, you're going to be offered interest rates in many scenarios lower than what you would have gotten had you had your credit pulled just the once and worked with someone who can shop the market for you. Most people use an insurance broker because they have access to all options. Most people use a financial advisor that's independent so they can shop the market for you. But then for your biggest debt, you go to the bank directly and you cut yourself off at the knees. So don't do that unless you're comfortable and confident that you can get the best solution on your own. Many find value in mortgage brokers. Right now, it's 45% of all mortgages placed in Canada are done through a mortgage broker. Okay, for good reason. Lastly is the post-close concierge. I think this is really cool because what I've always spoken to families, they say, hey, Mac, after my mortgage closed, the mortgage broker and the bank, we didn't hear from them until renewal. And that's honestly far more common than it should be. So for me, we have a 7-day post-close meeting. We have a 30-day post-close meeting. Holy smokes, we have a 6-month post-close meeting. Things pop up in those conversations that are valuable to you as a borrower. Set additional expectations of what to look for if you're on a variable, for opportunities when to flip the switch and lock in. But more importantly, that's where the opportunity comes to know that, guess what? This is not the end of our relationship. It's really just the beginning. This is how I can keep in touch and also support your friends and family when they have questions that pop up as well. Those are the 3 elements that I've found. The feedback that I've gotten from clients has always been stellar, and key decision making information around why they chose to partner with me. So when you're looking to sell your home, often we think, let's go talk to our realtor, but we forget, there's a mortgage transition happening here. How do we strategize for things like bridging? And this is a big one. I talk to families every day who the realtor have them buying a house, closing on the same day as the house that they've just sold. In most scenarios, that can be a good move. In many scenarios, however, it can be a move that actually costs you quite a bit of money, quite a bit of peace of mind, and the transition from home to home is just not seamless. So the way that bridging works is that you actually want to have both properties at the same time. You want to have the closing of your new home close before the sale of your existing property. Why? Well, firstly, you can get in and clean when the house is empty. How amazing it is to be able to get in, walk around, change blinds, have furniture delivered when it's not full of boxes yet. Tip 1. Tip 2, how many times have I heard from clients, Mac, I didn't get keys till 6 p.m. on the day of closing. Imagine having to be out of your home at 10 a.m. because that's the time you have to vacate, but then not getting the keys to that new home till 6 p.m. and sitting in the U-Haul van all day. Not a fun experience. What it allows you to do is to essentially overcome that, have things moved over, the transition, the cleaning all done on your own time. But most importantly, what can happen is that what if the home that you've just sold does not close? Why would that be? Well, what if the person who bought your house doesn't fill all their conditions? Maybe the bank sends the funds out late in the day, which has happened, which is no fault of anyone. However, if your property doesn't close, neither does your purchase. So now you're actually looking for a hotel for the weekend. I've had clients that this has happened to them because the bank did not advance funds at the right time, or heavens forbid, the sellers did not get their home closed because their buyers defaulted in some way. The bridging allows that issue to be remedied through the fact that the bank is qualifying and paying 100% of your mortgage from day one. So you don't have to worry about the funds from the bridge or the down payment that's missing because the bank has it for you. Pro tip 1. Second, what are we doing with this mortgage? Are we keeping it? Do we need a new mortgage? Or what sounds like what would happen with you, Kamala, if you bought and sold today, is that you actually need to take the mortgage with you and you might need more or less money. because you're actually not just picking it up and moving it over to the new property and leaving it as is, you need to look at what's called blending and extending, which essentially is saying your current mortgage interest rate, the new balance that you need blended together, and that allows you to see what your new mortgage solution is going to look like. Do you need that? Is your bank going to guide you through that, or do you need someone to help you understand what your options are, or do you break the mortgage? There's so many different things that we look at on the checklist. Okay. And then lastly on this slide is porting. Porting, first of all, is not even available by every bank. So you need to know that when you get in to a relationship with a lender, that if you were to buy and sell in a market where your interest rate is still more attractive than the current, you're going to want to take that mortgage with you. So what you have the opportunity to do is call your bank, say I'm buying and I'm selling. They'll literally pick up the mortgage and move it to your new property for you should you qualify and should that mortgage solution be worth taking with you. Okay, these are things we need to begin to strategize. I'll tell you, I actually had a conversation recently with a client where we saved them $7,000 on a penalty because we told them when to have their closing date. Bulb, depending on when you break your mortgage and when your mortgage actually gets paid out, has a big impact on the penalty you pay. So we actually told them to extend their closing by 2 days so they could fall within that next bucket of when the rate would decrease, saving them $7,000. I can assure you, your bank is not going to tell you that. Okay, so when you partner with us and with me, one of the things that I do is I like to demystify the numbers. I'm a show don't tell kind of guy. So the way that I do it is I want you to look at a financial plan. The financial plan maps out two very easy to absorb pieces of data and information around this is my sale. These are my expenses associated with the sale. This is how much equity I have left. Now, let's use that equity or what we want to use to the new purchase and create a pre-approval. It's all on the same page. Sell equity, buy opportunity. It shows you all the closing costs, the carrying costs, the down payment, and how much cash flow is left. So what a lot of folks do and what Kamala may do as well is, hey, I don't want all of it to go into the new purchase. I've got an RRSP that needs a top up. I've got kids that are going to go to university in 15 years. Let's, put a bit of money away and invest it long term. So we can pull that out. We can show you what that looks like. We can show you carrying costs should you want to hold that back. So when you make that sell and that buy, there is no dark rooms and nothing misunderstood. That allows you to be able to negotiate more aggressively. It allows you to know what you're looking at and actually buy in the current market a lot more seamlessly than you would expect when the numbers are not certain in that regard. Okay. I think that was the entire slide kind of going through those different things. So getting the equity and the new approval, that's all one big financial plan. So when to break. So right now we're actually looking at opportunities to try to lower your interest rate. Not everyone it works for. Some banks have higher penalties than other, but what you want to do is allow me to run what's called a cash flow review or a mortgage checkup. Within 10 or 15 minutes, we can determine if you're paying above the market, how much the penalty is, if there is the penalty to break, how much you would save, and how much you can claw back before the renewal. The easy way to look at this is, let's say that your penalty is $5K to break your fixed mortgage, but your savings per month are $1,000 a month for the next 12 months till renewal. We know it's going to take us 5 months to claw back that penalty and 7 months of savings. That's a no-brainer. You would pay the penalty and you would get down to that lower rate because you would save. So these are some of the things that we're doing right now for the average borrower. So renewals, you don't need to wait for them. You don't need to overpay until renewal as long as you have somebody who cares in your back pocket to educate you as to what to do and when to do it. The next is the variable interest rate. A lot of times we're having conversations with folks and they have no idea there's two variables. They think that when the interest rate goes down, their payment's going to go down along with it. Newsflash, only one bank does that. All the other banks have a variable where the payment does not change with the interest rate. I think a lot of people are expecting savings. Cash flow is king. But if you enter into a relationship with the wrong institution, you don't ask the right questions, and they're not going to educate you in most scenarios as to what the difference is, you're going to end up with the wrong bank, the wrong solution, and not saving money. That's why the interest rate alone is not the only aspect we look at. There's no point to pay a lower rate with a massive penalty coming out the other end. There's no point to get a low rate with a variable if the interest rates are not going to actually have an impact for cash flow right now. That is certainly counterintuitive for your long-term success. And then the last thing is, how do we get out of this mortgage and save you as much money as possible? And I alluded to it a moment ago. It has everything to do with your time period and to renewal. I won't give away the farm on the call right now, but there are different ways that we can strategize as to what your renewal date is, how close we are, and where the sweet spot is to ultimately save you money on the penalty. So if you have questions about that, give me a shout. So this is my direct contact information. Mac Mortgage Broker is my Instagram handle. I post almost every day, lots of good data and ways that you can identify with me and connect. I'm like this all the time. My direct phone number, my email. I think the easiest way though to get into my calendar is chatwithmac.ca, just like that. Type it into the URL. Yep. And you'll be able to get access to my calendar directly. You can book a 30-minute Zoom call. You'll be able to see me, or we can just do a 15-minute telephone call, whatever works the best. But thank you for the opportunity to have your ear for the last few minutes.
Mac, thank you so much. Just because I know you're never going to say it, but I want the people to know. Over the last 6 months, let's say, you've helped countless homeowners save tens of thousands of dollars. Can you comfortably say you've helped these people save in the tune of about 6 figures?
Yeah, you know what's pretty cool is that right now there was a lot of people who got 5-year fixed mortgages in 2023 when the rates were at 5.5 to 6%, and we've been able to get a lot of them down under 4%. So that $1,000 a month was not an exaggeration. That's a real life example. And right, I think we've had about 12 clients that come to mind right now in the last months that we've helped. So I'd say we're probably about $120,000 of total savings across the 12 families. Yes, there is a cost to break the mortgage. Yes, there is a legal fee. But the whole thing is that can we claw back that cost before your existing renewal? If we can claw back that and begin to actually put more money in your pocket between now and your existing renewal date, then the math is mathing. If you find that you can't break even and can't find an opportunity to claw back those funds between now and renewal, then guess what? You wait to renewal. It's not hard, but you need somebody to walk you through it so that it makes sense.
You don't know what you don't know, right?
Bingo.
And ask yourself this before even moving forward. What would you do with an extra $1,000 in your pocket
Per month.
per month, right? Like, is there an RSP that you want to top up or an RE
Our
that you want
ESP,
to
I
top
think
up,
Kamala
right?
mentioned she has little ones around, so
Yeah.
$1,000 a month education, fund. That's a big deal.
Or maybe it's investing into, I don't know, I'm going to go ahead and say it, crypto. I
Mm-hmm.
don't recommend or offer any financial advice. If you want
Disclaimer.
financial advice, we can get you hooked up with a few different wealth managers we know. The idea still stands. What can you do with a little bit of additional money each month? Everything's going expensive. Nobody out there is talking to you on how you can save hundreds of thousands of dollars year over year.
Well said.
Mac, thank you so much. Let's get into the meat of what is it that needs to happen on a day-to-day basis to making sure that you are keeping a lot more money for yourself on the table and not giving it away, because the seller's gonna or buyer's gonna come knocking. Them like, I need a deal. Let's get a deal. No, no. That's not the intent. That's not the goal. We do not want you to give that money away because you worked hard to build that equity in your home. You've worked hard for that initial down payment. We want you to protect that. We want to make sure that you're keeping the most amount of money in your pocket. And the number one thing that comes to mind is how can we help you prepare for your showings, and how can we best present your home in a light that creates a lasting impression? Where are buyers looking today? Buyers are looking online first and foremost, right? So your home online needs to be presentable in such a manner that, oh my gosh, this is, if it's $1 million home, this is more than $1 million, right? Because we want to position it in such a manner. When buyers are happy and looking behind a computer monitor or their phone and they like what they see, what do they do next? They either book a showing with us directly, or they contact their real estate agent. They're like, hey, Mr. Smith, Realtor Smith, can you please book a showing for this home? Buyer agents in turn look at it and they're like, oh yeah, this is a good home for you. How is all of that possible? Well, it starts by avoiding these mistakes. You don't want to be home during the showings. No way. Put yourself in a buyer's shoe. You're liking a beautiful home. You're going to go take a look at it. You enter, and the seller is shadowing you, explaining to you the different features, what they've done to it, and immediately, what are you thinking? You're thinking, oh my gosh, I need to get out of this home. Why? Because you do not want to be shadowed around by a buyer trying to sell you something that you're not even comfortably walking around. So please, for the love of God, please not be home for showings. If you're listing your home with us, you get this service with us regardless, but it has to be said. Make sure that you are actively, or either yourself, chances are you're going to hire somebody. We're going to help you hire somebody to deep clean before the listing. Notice I'm saying listing, not showing. We want to make sure that when we are coming in there to do the lifestyle photography, the lifestyle video, the featured listing video, a tour of the property, when we're coming in there, we want to make sure that the property is spotless. It is buyer ready. It is presentable. It looks in a fashion that, yes, I can move in here and live there right away. Before each showing, though, you want to make sure that you're tidying up. So we're all having kids, families. Make sure we picked up after ourselves, especially if we know it's going to be a weekend of busy showings, because guess what? Buyers are in the market. They are coming to open houses. They are coming to showings. They are booking these showings. So you want to make sure that if there's going to be a back-to-back showing spree, you're out of the house. You've tidied up the place so it looks presentable. Also, for the love of God, do not leave your precious pets at home. I love dogs. My partner is highly allergic. Guess what? I'm not going to be going into a home because my partner is allergic. And who makes the decision? We both do. But if one party isn't present, then we're not going to be making a decision in favor of buying a specific home. Another thing that we see a lot of people getting lost into is renovations. Not all renovations need to happen. The number one biggest return on investment, and this was a survey conducted by the National Association of Realtors, was actually doors. It wasn't the roof. It wasn't a fresh coat of paint. It wasn't flooring. It wasn't a new bathroom. It wasn't a kitchen. It was doors. So the moment you go in and you look at it objectively, think about it. If you see a nice barn door, you're already thinking nice and warm and feeling fuzzy inside. If you see something that is creaky, you're immediately thinking, I do not like the sound of that, right? Maybe it's the front entryway, the front door. Maybe instead of it being a simple slab door, you're thinking maybe there's something, some accenting I can put into it, or maybe a different shade of color, maybe a new door entirely. Have this conversation with the real estate agent. Have this conversation with somebody who is in the market day in, day out, because maybe you're spending a few $100s on a brand new door, but your return on it could be significantly higher. Staging, it's the big word. People spend tens of thousands of dollars on staging. People spend hundreds of dollars on staging, and people don't spend money on staging. There's a reason why homes that we've staged have had a quicker turnaround time. But notice, not every home needs to be staged, or it doesn't need to be staged fully. The biggest impact areas are your living room, are your family room, your living room is the kitchen, believe it or not, the dining area, and then the primary master bedroom. These are key places. Now, if you own a home that is in the tunes of millions of dollars or over $1 million, we do recommend having this consult with us. Maybe all that's required is depersonalization, decluttering, and some accessories to upstage the home. Some homes do require more. Talking about some homes, you want to make sure that when we're taking photos, or we want to make sure for you on your behalf, that when we're taking photos, when we're doing the lifestyle photo, the videos, when we're doing the featured listing videos, you want to make sure that your home comes out in the light is warm, that is subtle, that looks pleasing to the eye. We don't want a funky orange. Maybe that's a theme that you love, and maybe I love it for you, but maybe not everybody's going to be interested in that, right? So what colors can we use? How can we paint the wall if the wall requires a coat of paint? What colors do we need to use to make sure that it's pleasing and subtle and flattering and will get you the best return? There are small things that will need to be fixed. A leaky faucet is one of them. A roof repair, maybe not, depending on what fixing your roof will cost you versus something that doesn't need a lot of fixing, right? So have this conversation with us, have this conversation, let us tell you what this cost is, what you're getting out of it. Curb appeal is another big thing. We spend all of this time and energy making the inside look good, but the outside can be very detrimental. Are there any odors out there? Is there plants? Maybe add some seasonal plants. Maybe it's just cleaning the backyard and the front yard. Maybe just picking up the leaves that are starting to fall right now. Keeping it clean, keeping it tidy is the first step and having maximum impact. And then adding these seasonal planters or mood lighting or just simply raking the lawn, mowing the lawn. Small things will really help your home stand out. Please do not overstuff closets. There's nothing that speaks, I don't have enough space in my home or in this room, than overstuffed closets. Think of it. When you were out shopping for your home, did you not go into rooms and open closets to see how big it is or what it looked like? What would have happened if it was full of clothes and stuff and belongings and personal items versus something that had a lot less clutter, looked a bit more airy, a bit more roomy? Immediately you're thinking, oh, this has enough space. Why? Why do we want to do this? Because we want to stop thinking like this is your home, because it's not. It won't be for long, right? We want to start thinking about your next place that you can be calling home. And in order to do that, we want to start thinking about this is now a house. It is now a property versus this is my home, my humble abode, right? You want to start moving away and detaching yourself from there. So start decluttering, start depersonalizing. Because at the end of the day, if you're able to do that, you're going to be presenting your home in a manner that is pleasing, that has an attraction for buyers. And once buyers are coming in, they're pulling up to the curb, they like what they see, they walk in the front door, they like what they see, it smells pleasant, not too much, because then buyers will be like, what are they trying to hide? Right? So looks pleasant, smells pleasant, not too much, not too aromatic, pleasing. If it's staged well, we're probably going to end up helping you sell your home in a lot less time than what the average industry is. When we talk about marketing and negotiations, this is together. Why is this together? On the face of it, marketing is how you are showcasing, who you are showcasing your home to, right? The more eyes we can get on your home, the higher number of offers we can generate for you. When there's a higher number of offers being generated, guess what? We can now pit 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different offers against each other. Hey, I've got an offer that's $20,000 over your price or $30,000 over your price. Is that what I'm going to say? No. I'm going to say, Mr. Buyer's agent, I have an offer that's quite a bit above what you've presented. I like a lot of your terms and conditions. Can you please remove this? Please remove that and improve your price point. What is that going to do for you? What is my ability to negotiate a better price going to do for you? How am I going to get to it? Because I'm exposing your home to the vast majority of buyers, and then I'm negotiating a price that helps you, and not just price, terms and conditions as well, that helps you sell your home faster. And if we're moving into another home, get you to where you want to be sooner. So here's what's important. The MLS is not enough. Time and time again, we've seen, unfortunately, real estate agents take photos. So they're going to go around, take photos, post it on the MLS and hope for the best. Hope is not a strategy. We're using professional photographers. We're using professional videographers. We're using actors in certain listings to come in, create that air of this is the home a buyer would want to be in. And then when all of that is done, remember, take a look at it yourself on realtor.ca. Is everything good? Does everything match? Have we met your expectations in terms of presenting your home in the manner it should be? If we're not, correct us, ask us, what happened to this? What happened to that? And maybe there's a reason, maybe we've forgotten, maybe we've made a mistake, but I'd rather own up and accept the mistake than keep you in the dark. How many agents out there will do that? How many agents will say that to you versus gaslighting? And if you're a real estate agent, or in the past, if you've used a real estate agent before and they haven't marketed your home properly, chances are they left money on the table. I'm not talking about 30 years ago. I'm talking about in the last 10 years. 15, last 5 even. If your home hasn't been marketed online properly, you've left money on the table. Remember, despite the negotiations, a buyer is entitled to receive the home in the same condition as when they bought it. So that stove that was finicky but worked the day of needs to continue working the day of. So if when we're touring a home together, when we're touring your property together, point us out to what may need fixing. So that way we can tell you whether or not you need to spend money on that or do we need to disclose that? Because if you're not disclosing property defects and it gets found and we didn't know about it, guess what? I'm not on the hook. You are, because you sold the home knowing that there's defects in the home. So in order to avoid these costly, time-consuming, and money-consuming lawsuits, disclose property defects to us. When closing comes, we're all worried about, oh my gosh, is the bank going to fund it? Is the bank not going to fund it? Oh my gosh, is it going to come on time? If you're working with somebody like Mac, you know everything's going to be okay. But you want to make sure that despite everything being okay, you're not leaving back any unwanted furniture or garbage or trash or clutter. Broom swept condition is what's required. And if you're working with us, chances are we're probably going to hire somebody to do a clean sweep for you once you've moved everything out. And at the end of the day, when that negotiations are happening, when it's offer night or you've got multiple offers you're entertaining, no, I don't want to work with this offer is a valid response. Yes, I want to work with this offer is also a valid response. Countering that offer is also a valid response. So you know what your options are when we're negotiating on your behalf. No and yes are complete sentences. Why? Because again, if we are marketing getting your home in a light that is presentable, looks good, people are coming in, more people seeing the home, more offers potentially being generated, gives us as your selling agents higher negotiation power. And when we have the upper hand, guess what? We're willing and able to squeeze out as much as we can on your behalf. Pricing and market strategy is another big concern today. Should you buy before you sell? Should you sell before you buy? Right now, 90% of the consensus is you need to be selling your home before you're buying your home. And I sort of agree with that thought, but it is tricky. What happens if you have a home that is perfect for you, but you just need maybe an additional room? Everything else checks out. You just need an additional room. And I'm like, hey, let's go sell your home and then go buy the next perfect home for you. Great. And then we go through the buying process and you're like, yeah, but this one doesn't have this. This one doesn't have that. This one doesn't have this. Oh my gosh, I cannot live in that. What happens then? We've sold your home and you're not able to find a home that works for you. Or maybe there's certain things that you are required of your day to day. Maybe it's a home office on the ground floor. Maybe it's a bedroom on the ground floor. Maybe it's a triple car garage, but our price range only allows us to look at double car garages. What happens then? So know that every strategy discussion is different and will be pertained to your unique circumstances. Why do homes not sell today? Is it the marketing? Is it the market? Is it presentations? Is it pricing? If anybody tells you a poorly marketed home will still sell if the price is right, but a poorly priced home can be marketed. But if they have a buyer agent like we have on our teams, they're going to make sure they're not paying that price. They're going to bring it down. They're going to work in favor of their buyers. So we want to make sure that you're not only pricing your home right, we've deployed the right strategy, presented your home the right way. Because smart pricing will allow us to help you sell your home faster and more money. And what is pricing? Pricing is literally just an indication or an invitation for buyers to come in and make an offer. That's the number one most important thing to remember. It's an invitation for buyers and buyers agents to come in and make an offer. We spoke about renovations before. Nobody will guarantee you a 100% return on renovations, especially if you're going way above what's needed. We've turned down homes we know are going to be overpriced because of the renovations that they put in. You're going to go in, buy a home for $1.1 million, put in $600,000 in renovations. You're not going to get 1.7 out of it. Not necessarily, not in this market specifically. If you're pricing a home and you think Okay, you know what? I think market it's worth $850,000. And we have an agreement there. We think, yes, you know what? We're probably going to be able to get you anywhere from 830 to 870, 850 is that average. We're going to be happy with that. Amazing. You know what's going to be the worst thing we can do? Is price it at 920. Why? Because the buyers are going to come and negotiate it down. I don't think that's fair to you. And it's clearly not fair to stay on the market for long, for waiting for a buyer to come and negotiate. If it doesn't match their need, if it doesn't fall into their filter of pricing, guess what? They're not even going to take a look at it. They're going to move on. And when that offer does come in, yeah, I told you, you can walk away from an offer if you don't like it. But sometimes negotiate. Let us help you negotiate what that offer is. We spoke about the timing, buying before selling, selling before buying. It is a strategy discussion. It's worth sitting down and having this conversation with what could work in your favor. Real estate is seasonal. We had a summer slump, but fall market activity is picking up. Winter was slow. February kind of picked up, but then slowed down again. So we do see a seasonal change. Maybe right now, if you're thinking about selling and everything is ready to go, yes, we can capitalize on the market and get you what you would otherwise not be getting. But if there's 3 months of work that's need to happen on the back end for whatever reason, maybe it's renovations, maybe it's family that's coming over, maybe you don't want to look for homes in December, Christmas time. That's okay. We wait, get everything in order, get all our ducks lined up, and then go to town in February or March. What is the competition doing? And I'll speak to this in a moment, because we went head to head with neighbor who listed before us and a neighbor who listed after us, and what we needed to do. I'll explain that shortly. Anybody who tells you that your opinions don't matter is wrong. Your opinions do matter, they're valid, and they're reasonable. Because at the end of the day, what do we get out of it? We get to help you. And only when we get to help you and we've helped you, do we get paid. So if I'm coming in from a perspective of, oh no, that's just another dollar check. No, I only earn that because I've worked and helped you go from where you are to where you want to be. Make sense? So a beautifully marketed property, wrong price is going to have struggles. Buying before selling, selling before buying. Key issues will arise if you don't have the right strategy. Maybe everything is worked out the way it needs to work out, but guess what? 3 days before you're going to market, somebody on that street or that neighborhood sold at a price that we thought was a little bit lower than expected. What do? What is the strategy behind that? Let's take a look at a case study real quick. 2 cities. So we had 2 listings go up side by side, or not side by side, in a short span of time. And then that first home was a detached home in Vaughan, and their neighbor listed. We were having conversations that, hey, we're thinking about, when do we go to market? When do we list it? What is the strategy behind it? And the next thing you know, the neighbors have put up a sign that, hey, for sale, right? Kind of sneaked up on us there. And that's okay. Similarly, we had a listing live on the market, neighborhood, a home sold, corner lot. We're not a corner lot. And right after that, the neighbor's home, so our listing, the neighbor's home, went to market as soon as we sold, right? So what were the strategies that we came in? And it's going to kind of show you how, despite the same markets or conditions, how despite the same strategy to an extent being used led to different outcomes. Let's start by looking at the Etobicoke townhouse. So I'm not lying. These are neighboring properties. The one on the left is a photo from a listing on the MLS, the photos that we use to market the property, the front facade, if you may. On the right is the neighbor's home. So one is number 43, the other is 44. There's a difference in curb appeal right off the bat. There's a difference in how the photo pops out. You can see that we've added an element of warmth in the photo. Sure, it's edited, but it's not edited to show features that do not exist. It's edited to highlight the features that exist. On the right, we do not have the curb appeal. On the left, we do. Somewhat. Sure, the grass is mowed both sides, but what do you see differently? You see some planters there, right? Similar layouts. We only accessorized this home. It was a family home. It was going to be tough to stage this home, right? On the right side, similar family home. They did not opt for staging. However, what did we do differently? We spent a little bit of money making sure that A, we've painted it a neutral color. B, we've added what buyers desire. Pot lights. Can we change the couches? No, not with the toddler involved, because the sellers did not want to manage, the furniture, the staging furniture, and rightfully so. If you can't have a 2-year-old running around and possibly bumping into a lamb or staging furniture, we still have to give them some sense of calm and belonging. On the right side, again, they haven't staged. It's okay. What's different? The depersonalization has disappeared. On the left, they're a big Disney family. They had Goofy, they had Cinderella, these stickers, these sculptures all around the home. Big Disney family. We took all of that out because we knew we had to depersonalize it. Again, similar layout. What do you see different here? We've got pot lights, and then they've got a chandelier. However, one of the lights isn't working. We were able to sell their home in 6 days, listed for $688,800, sold for $708, $709. This was literally in 6 days. This one, they went to town. They listed it right after we did, followed a similar trajectory that we listed, wanted offers. They listed to get offers. They didn't get offers, or maybe they did. They relisted it at a higher price. They dropped it to a lower price. It expired. They listed it again. Expired, listed it again, and ultimately sold for $655. $655 versus $709. This instance, the corner lot that sold kind of messed with us because we were expecting to get about $715 to $720, around that price range. The corner lot sold for $700 even. Despite being center unit, despite being main road unit, this home, sorry, we were able to get higher than what a corner unit inside the community, inside the neighborhood. They would have had similar results, the neighbors on the right. But what came into play? Their pricing strategy is similar. Home layout is similar, right? Very similar. Sure, photos may be a little bit better. Staging accessories may be a little bit better. Cleanliness may be a little bit better. Cluttering, depersonalization may be a little bit better on our end. But at the end of the day, what was the goal? The goal was to sell and move into a new home. So they might have gotten $7,000 more if that corner unit hadn't sold. The neighbors, they definitely left $60,000 on the table because they wanted to wait the 6 months. So what would you do with $10,000 more a month in your pocket? Could that go towards renovations? Could that go towards a down payment for your next home? Could that go towards an all-inclusive vacation and you still get money left over? Could that go towards your TFSAs, your RRSPs, your kids' education funds? So this one, around the $700,000 price point. This here is a Vaughan, detached home in Vaughan. Again, we had the pleasure of going head to head with another agent. Neighbors, these guys on the right, they listed 3 weeks prior to when we wanted to go to market. At the end of the day, similar renovations, similar marketing strategy to an extent, right? I would say maybe staging, we have the upper hand. The layout is very similar. Staging, we have the upper hand. Strategy, we have the upper hand. Negotiation, we have the upper hand. And I'll tell you why, right? So let's take a look at these photos. Fairly similar layouts. Sure. We have carpets in our master bedroom because the owners liked a warm, fuzzy feeling when they woke up and they wanted carpet beneath their feet, right? Staging plays a huge role in how a home looks to a potential buyer. What was the result? We went to town, we listed for sale, 1988, 2 weeks of back-to-back open houses and offer night around 15 days in. We didn't get the offer we wanted. However, we relisted it immediately or repriced it immediately at the price point we wanted to get. Terminated that 2 weeks in. We're at 3 weeks in total right now. Listed it for the price we would want to get, hoping as long as we have an offer with a to attach to it, we're happy to sell it. Our clients are happy to sell it. Our friends, our neighbors next door listed it 3 weeks prior to when we wanted to go to market. terminated the day we went to market, relisted it at almost $100,000 below our price point. Followed everything the same thing we did. 2 weeks of open houses, offer night. Our offer nights were on the same night. Can you imagine that? Relisted it, still below 2 million. Terminated, listed for sale. When they listed this for sale again is when we went sold conditional, because they wanted to do another strategy. And eventually, because they waited the 5 months to have an accepted offer, they sold for far less than what they wanted to get. And I'd be a bad real estate agent if I wasn't going to plug myself in. The number one mistake you can make is not hiring us. Why? Look, yes, I showed you what we do differently, right? But identifying it as expert marketing and exposure beyond the MLS, I'm going to show you in just a moment what I mean by that. What is a pricing strategy? We want to offer you maximum in your pocket. How do we get to that? How do we price it? How do we market it? How do we present it in a manner that is beneficial for you? What's our 3Ps? Pricing, presentation, and preparation. We want to help you through the 3P system that keeps the most amount of money and also gives you less headache. With us, with our partnerships, you have access to up to $60,000 for additional renovations that may be required. And you don't have to pay me that 60 grand. You get the full service selling support. That means the Google ads, the ads we're running on social media, the featured listing video, professionally done photographs, professionally done video. And at the end of the day, we want to negotiate on your behalf to get you the most amount of money in your pocket. Here's another one. Sold in 11 days. What's the average days on market today? 47 days. What would you do if we're able to help you sell your home in 11 days? How are we doing things different? 32 showings booked, 28 open house attendees, over 14,000 online property views across all platforms, 5 offers generated, and sold for 1.26. This is not 2 years ago. This is now. This is this year. This is in this market that we're in. Year over year, we've been faster. So what does 74% faster mean? We're on average selling your home in 9 days versus the 35 days for all other agents in the GTA. What would you do with all that extra time? What would you do if you know you're working with a team that's got your back, that supports you, has the strategies in place, can get you the most amount of money and do it in record time? I know this is not 2020, 2021, where you list a home and still sells. We're still getting it done. We're blessed. We have the strategies, we have the tactics that help us get to where we want to be. 2024 sold to list ratio is 108%. That means on $1 million home, that's $80,000 more in your pocket. For $1 million home, that's $80,000 more in your pocket. What would you do with an additional $80,000 and putting it to your next home? We have one of the largest realtor database that allows us to create maximum exposure. Over 177,000 real estate agents are subscribed to our database. This allows us to tap into a pool of buyers who are still on the sidelines but have shown interest. So what happens when I'm like, hey, Mark, I'm going to send your property to a listing agent I know, or a real estate agent I know, and he's going to send it off to all the buyers in his vicinity, in his database, who are looking at off-market opportunities or a good deal. What happens then? Guess what? You're going to get more eyes on your property. What happens when we get more eyes? We get more showings. We get more showings, we get a higher likelihood of more offers. And what happens when more offers come through? We get to negotiate on your behalf and get you to where you want to be, and get you the most amount of money, and give you the least amount of headache. So, final recap before we get into the questions. Your first impressions matter. Clean, declutter, present your home well. Let us help you do that. Your pricing strategy will always outperform every other tactic, every other strategy out there. Do not overprice. Do not ignore the market trends. We've had to pivot when we sold that townhouse in Etobicoke because a neighboring property sold for less than what we had hoped to be getting. But despite that, we persevered. We were still resilient. We were still able to get out the most amount of money. Your marketing and negotiation will impact your final sale price.